The NFL has known about the concussion issue for years.
They're terrified of you. You're going to war with a corporation that owns a day of the week.
This is bigger than they are. They have to listen to us now.
Will Smith's controversial movie Concussion will be in theaters Christmas Day. Will Smith is already nominated for a Golden Globe for his role in this film. Stephen A. had all access with his fellow Philly guy. The two sat down in New York to discuss the movie and how it forever changed the way he viewed football as a fan and a parent. Here's Stephen A. and Will Smith.
First things first, why did you want to make this movie?
Well, first off, I did not want to make this film. You know, when I first read it, I was like, oh, man.
What was the apprehension?
You know, my son played football, and I, you know, I grew up in Philly. You know, I was getting battered by the Dallas Cowboys, watching Ron Jaworski and my Eagles get smashed. You know, so I had deep emotion, you know, connected to this game, and I didn't want to be that guy, you know. And then I met Dr. Omalu, and I sat with him, and when, you know, he told me his story, and he broke down the science. There was a moment when my heart jumped because as a parent, I didn't know, and I had my son on the football field, and I didn't know the information. So to me, it felt like, you know, putting him in a car without any driving lessons. You know, so I felt like, as a parent, if I didn't know, I knew that other parents didn't know.
So when you put it that way, I guess the next question for me would be, not knowing, what was the emotion that came through your mind? Was it the people need to know? Was it frustration with a game that you loved that was the National Football League and saying as a parent, how do we not know this? What was the emotion going through your mind?
You know, it was, first it was frustration with myself, you know, that as a parent, it's my job to be informed. You know, it's like my kids are looking at me and they're trusting me that when I say something's cool, it's cool, you know? So it was frustration with myself, and then beyond that, in hearing Dr. Omalu's story, I actually got inspired in the way that he talked about America. You know, he's a Nigerian immigrant who has stars in his eyes about the American dream. So when he discovered this, he sort of rekindled for me the beauty of what this country is, and he kept saying, this is not how Americans are supposed to solve problems. So I got inspired about his story and telling his story to the world, you know, and the issue around it and the football of it is one thing, but on the other side of it, it's really about the truth and how we tell and accept the truth from one another.
In the throes of doing it, did you run into anything that diminished your inspiration? While doing it?
Well, it's really hard to diminish my inspiration. You know, I've said a few times, America's the only place that Will Smith would be allowed to exist. No other country is going to let me do what I do on the global level the way that I do it. So I'm proud when I sit my American passport down, you know. So I felt inspired that there were, you know, people who didn't necessarily want the information to be delivered the way we were delivering it, but I felt confident that the truth would override everything.
Any communication with the National Football League at all in the process of doing this film?
Yeah, no contact between the creative team and the NFL. I've had no personal contact. The director had no personal contact with the NFL.
Was that by their choice or yours?
It was
your creative team.
You know, I think it was mutual. You know, for us, there's a truth that of what Dr. Omalu experienced that we didn't need anyone else to co-sign. You know, we when we were dealing with situations and scenes that were NFL-based or that were based on, other people, we were trying to go from transcripts as much as possible, and we were trying to be as careful as we could be with the artistic license that you have to take when you put a story together, but we took it very seriously. We shot in Pittsburgh. The members of the families were there, on the set a lot. So we worked hard to keep it real.
I want to read a quote to you from Dr. Omalu. He said in an article GQ printed 2009, I'm sure you read that. He said, quote, "I was naive. There are times I wish I never looked at Mike Webster's brain. It dragged me into worldly affairs that I do not want to be associated with. Human meanness, wickedness, selfishness, people trying to cover up, to control how information is released. I started this not knowing I was walking into a minefield. That is my only regret." That's what he felt as obviously the man who discovered CTE. Absolutely. How did you feel as the individual portraying the man who said that?
So I got into all of that, and as an actor, you have to understand what a person is thinking and feeling. Will Smith, maybe naively, I have to sort of create a world for myself where human meanness and covering up or hatred are curable with love and truth. Yes, people do bad things. I don't really believe in bad people, and I know that might be naive, but I believe very firmly that as we push forward with the truth, and if we can keep as much love in our hearts as possible, even for our enemies, that's the process of evolution that I'm proud that I believe this film does well.
You obviously loved the game of football.
Yeah.
Had your son playing football.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. Mm-hmm. He stopped playing after high school.
Right.
What's your love for football now that you've done all of this?
It's football is one of the most beautiful games and the most beautiful sports you'll ever watch. It's the biggest, strongest, fastest, most powerful human bodies on earth, So that's never gonna not be beautiful. But by the same token, at the same time, it's dangerous in a way that at a minimum, the information and the reality and the science of what's happening has to be injected for the players to play the game in a way that maybe is different, maybe is not. But I want to be a part of delivering the information. I think what this film does is it takes something that's really complex and really complicated and something that hides in plain sight, and it makes it simple and digestible and comprehensible.
Getting a little bit away from the film, Dr. Omalu just recently wrote an article in the New York Times encouraging parents essentially not to let their kids play football. It's one thing for adults to play.
Absolutely.
Once we have the information, but kids shouldn't be exposed to it.
Right.
Where does Will Smith stand on that now that he has portrayed Dr. Omalu in this film?
Will Smith is not a doctor, so Will Smith would never be so arrogant as to think that he can make a medical recommendation for what parents should do. I don't want nobody telling me what I should do with my kids, so I am delivering the information as an artist. I studied it, and I think in my desire to be of service and make a contribution, I've created something that I think can be helpful in parents making decisions that are their decision, not mine. I would never step into that.
You've done a lot of great work throughout your illustrious career. Where does this rank, this film?
Yeah, this is absolutely a little bit of a turn for me, It's
Ain't Hitch, ain't Bad Boys.
Yeah, there's none of that. None of that. Yeah, this is I've definitely made a shift to, I'm 47, so I need my contributions to be more potent. You know, I want the films. This film is funny. There are things about it that, you know, you get some good laughs. It's beautiful entertainment. It's great performances. And I think Hollywood and cinema at its best does all of those things, but then it can also be enlightening and it can also be informative. So this film fires on all of those cylinders, and I enjoy how that feels when I'm wearing that kind of artistry.
Congrats, all the best to you, and good
Appreciate
luck.
you.
Good luck to your Eagles.
Appreciate you. Hey, Caleb told me, you know, I had to say his name on TV.
That's right.
So
did you say it?
So that's my brother-in-law.
That's right. Say
you
say the full name.
For Caleb Pinkett. Caleb Pinkett.
We're good. Thanks a lot, bro.
Thank you, man. As always, watch your head.
Tremendous work by Stephen A. No surprise. And we're just getting started on this subject that greatly impacts a sport we all love. The fellows will discuss Stephen A.'s conversation with Will Smith on concussion when we return. Stay here.